This is Radio Taiwan International.
Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Amanda Stevens, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Monday, December 1st. Deputy Foreign Minister says Taiwan's international relationships are secured by strong mutual interests. The president responds positively to a request for a State of the Nation address. And the first Taiwan-made optical remote sensing satellite successfully launches. But first, today's top story. Deputy Foreign Minister Francois Wu Zizong said he believes the United States will not sell out Taiwan to China in the future due to the mutual shared interests of both countries. This came after the U.S. released a 28-point peace plan for the Russia-Ukraine war last week, which was widely panned as capitulating to Russian demands over Ukrainian interests, and led to questions of whether the U.S. would potentially side with China in the future. Wu appeared on the program News Firecracker, hosted by journalist Clara Zhou, on Monday, where Zhou compared Taiwan's plight to that of Ukraine. She pointed out that President Donald Trump stated there was a good chance of ending the Russia-Ukraine war and will send a U.S. envoy to Moscow for negotiations. She then asked Wu whether the United States might similarly sacrifice Taiwan in a potential China-Taiwan confrontation, comparing the two situations. Wu said that realism in international relations boils down to national interests. Countries must share common interests, which is why the Foreign Ministry has prioritized aligning Taiwan's national interests with those of other countries. In the last decade, Wu pointed out Taiwan's semiconductor industry, democracy and freedom, as well as free navigation of the Taiwan Strait and Indo-Pacific peace and stability have become national common interests. Due to this, Wu said he believes that Taiwan's shared interests with those of the United States outnumber those between the U.S. and Ukraine.
Ultimately, it comes down to whether common interests are aligned. Compared to Ukraine, Taiwan's common interests with the United States far outweigh those shared between Ukraine and the United States. And this is very real. We still have semiconductors, and our democracy and our freedoms are functioning better than they were in Ukraine prior to the war.
Wu cited the example of regional military exercises, noting that in the past 4 months, major powers have held 15 exercises in the Indo-Pacific, averaging once per week. This, he said, sends the message to China that the status quo will be maintained, which gives him confidence in cross-strait peace. Furthermore, Wu said that Taiwan's diplomatic relations are all stable, including that with the Vatican, which remains the sole diplomatic ally in Europe, replying to Zhou that he doesn't see any ties being severed in his term. President Lai Ching-te responded positively to a KMT caucus request for a State of the Nation address regarding his recent 1.25 trillion NT dollar, nearly $40 billion US dollar special defense budget announcement on November 26th. During a November 29th interview at the Youth Forum hosted by Business Today magazine in Taipei, he emphasized his willingness to report to the people and seek the support of the legislature. KMT legislator Jonathan Lin stated that the massive special defense budget should have been formally discussed with the legislature through official channels, namely the presidential office and the cabinet. However, the public only learned of this through foreign media and newspapers, raising concerns over governmental transparency. Lin additionally pointed out that the president's statement that, quote, the Beijing authorities have set the goal of completing military preparations to attempt unification with Taiwan by force by 2027, end quote, during the same press conference needs clarification. He said that, should Lai deliver an address, it should not only detail the defense budget, but also the source of the intelligence regarding Beijing. Lin added that the issue of 900 billion NT dollars, about 28.7 billion US dollars, in undelivered US weapons also requires explaining. DPP legislator Rosalia Wu stated that national defense decisions are within the constitutional powers of the president and are the most important urgent issues for the country at this stage. She expressed her belief that the president would be willing to deliver the report to Congress within the bounds of a constitutional procedure, and that she hopes the opposition will not use the address request as a pretext for political manipulation. The Formosat 8A Zeppelin satellite successfully launched from the United States Vandenberg Space Force Base at 2:44 a.m. on November 29th aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. President Lai Ching-te stated that this is Taiwan's first domestically built satellite and a significant step towards a new space age. He underscored that the government will continue to collaborate with industry, academia, and research institutions to vigorously develop the space industry and create a new protective mountain for Taiwan. The president said this first satellite, launched today, along with subsequent satellites, will form Taiwan's first homegrown satellite constellation. The data collected at higher resolution will be applied to land planning and monitoring, disaster response, environmental protection, strengthen national security, and empower Taiwan to face various challenges. Firmasat 8 consists of 8 optical remote sensing satellites, 6 with a native resolution of 1 meter and 2 with an ultra-high native resolution of less than 1 meter. All launches for the subsequent satellites are expected to be completed by 2031. Compared to Firmasat 5's native resolution of 2 meters, Firmasat 8's constellation will result in more frequent and clearer images of Earth's surface. With U.S.-Taiwan tariff negotiations in the final document exchange stage, Taiwan's top trade negotiator, Yang Zhenni, addressed rumors circulating about Taiwan's investment amount into the U.S. and talent training deals. Yang said the investment model and amounts have not yet been decided, and that similarly, Taiwan has not agreed to any technical training assistance. Speaking before the legislature Monday, Yang explained that because Taiwan's economic structure is highly dependent on trade, there is a large deficit, 90% of which comes from semiconductors, electric components, and ICT products. Therefore, Taiwan is negotiating to obtain Most Favored Nation, or MFN, status under Section 232 of the U.S. Trade Expansion Act. The goal is a reduced tariff rate and promises that tariffs won't stack. Once the Section 232 negotiations are complete, they should also swiftly come to a close. Yang says she believes that Taiwan is, quote, very likely, end quote, to achieve its goals. Regarding foreign media reports claiming Taiwan would assist the U.S. in training semiconductor personnel, Yang said these claims were not part of negotiations. Other rumors, spread by foreign media, reported that Taiwanese investments into the U.S. would total $400 billion U.S. dollars. Taiwan's negotiating team has only said that the number is still being discussed and cannot yet be confirmed. This new round of tariff negotiations would be the 6th to date, and Yang says Taiwan is hoping to conclude talks by the end of the year. The number of furloughed employees has increased to new highs since the U.S. implemented retaliatory tariffs in August. On Monday, the Labor Ministry announced that, as of the end of November, 456 businesses are officially employing furlough programs, affecting 9,153 people, an increase of over 600 workers and 21 businesses. Of the companies affected, the overwhelming majority cite U.S. retaliatory tariffs as the main reason for the furlough program. Labor Ministry Labor Standards and Equal Employment Department Director Huang Qi-ya says the increase is mostly due to 3 large enterprises of over 150 employees furloughing workers. All the companies, in machine manufacturing, metal product manufacturing, and consumer goods, reported the reason for the furloughs as a decrease in orders caused by the U.S. tariff situation. Huang said,
the increase in the number of furloughed employees is mainly concentrated in specific companies. When new cases come from large companies, each exceeding 150 employees, it naturally boosts the overall employee count. However, we still see 90% of cases in small-scale enterprises.
Almost 72% of the companies that reported furloughing workers are in industries eligible for employment stabilization measures, meaning almost 80% of affected employees can apply for wage subsidies. For affected workers, this would add a 70% wage subsidy from the Labor Ministry, in addition to the minimum wage guarantee from companies. The ministry said it will continue to closely monitor the situation with proactive visits to each company, as well as contact workers on unpaid leave to ensure stable employment for all. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Amanda Stevens. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features, brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.
Cash for everyone. The government is giving out 10,000 NT dollars. It's easy to claim. Choose direct deposit, ATM, or post office. Check details at the official website 10,000.gov.tw or 10000.gov.tw or call the free hotline at 1988. Stay alert. Don't trust unknown sources. This advertisement is brought to you by the Ministry of Finance.